You're about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. So in the media, you hear from a lot of women and women athletes as it pertains to transgender players in women's sports, or biological males who are now identifying as a female playing in women's sports. So you hear a lot from the female athletes. You don't hear a lot from the male athletes. Well, making huge headlines is what Charles Barkley has had to say about it. So he was pretty blunt on, and he spoke to Dan Dakich on Thursday. And he said, I'm going to make this very simple for you, Dan. He says, men should not play sports against women. This was on Outkick's Don't, Wake Me. He goes, I'm not going to get into all the BS that's going on out here in the world today. But the 62-year-old Hall of Famer said men should not play sports against women. If anybody thinks that, I think they're stupid. He said, I support the gay community 100%. I support the transgender community 100%. But I do not under any circumstances think that men should play sports against women. Now, this has been something that has been polarizing, or the media has made it seem like that this is a completely, 50-50. The Democrats want one thing, the Republicans want one thing, want another thing, and the Republicans are anti-LGBTQAI plus when there's many individuals who are LGBTQAI plus in the GOP, just like there's many in the Democratic Party, as well as there are many who don't necessarily subscribe to transgender females now competing in female sports. And a transgender female is somebody who was born biologically male. And so male athletes haven't been very vocal about that. And so now here's Charles Barkley saying, look, I support the gay community. I support the LGBTQAI plus community, but men should not be in women's sports. And having male athletes speak out really helps the female athletes that have been kind of speaking out on this. President Trump signed an executive order last month protecting women in sports. And, this is something that again, the media has tried to hijack it as if you are trying to protect women, then you're anti-LGBTQAI plus. And, the big problem I'm seeing with politics is when you kind of damn if you do to somebody and damned if you don't, they don't know where to stand. There was a woman who was Democrat who had been talking to me about how the Democrats lost this last election. And she said, the problem is you don't have a home there if you disagree with one thing. Now, I think I know a lot of moderate Democrats that are very flexible, but she felt like if I don't agree with one or two things, I don't get to be Democrat. Well, you do that with enough people, then of course they're going to go to the other side. People need to have a home. They need to feel like they're not being canceled. And so here's Charles Barkley saying, look, I'm 100% pro-LGBTQ. I'm 100% pro-transgender gay community. But no, men shouldn't play in women's sports. And people are going to say, but you can't. Then you're not pro LGBTQAI plus, not entirely. You could be very supportive. You could be supportive of their health rights, of their marital rights, of their equal rights. You could be supportive of that, but there has to be protection. Now, so let's look at smokers. If you are pro men, pro women, pro military, right, but they want to smoke, are we allowed to limit where they smoke? Yeah. If it's going to harm others, absolutely. I mean, remember somebody was trying to normalize pedophilia? Saying, well, these are people that have problems and they have an affinity. No. Okay, I don't care what their sex drive is or what their acclivities or affinities are for. They're going to be hurting kids. Somebody who has sex with them is now a victim. So no. Okay, they lose that right. Okay. They could have access to government aid. They could have access to SNAP benefits. But if they commit a crime and they want to do pedophilia, no. And I'm not equating a smoker or somebody with pedophilia to somebody who wants to compete in female sports. But what I'm saying is we can very easily support people in the community without necessarily putting other people at risk. And what I don't understand why it got forgotten is for years we were talking about how, look, women, should be able to play volleyball, look at all the sports we have now at the Olympics that women can do. And all of a sudden now you put somebody who's XY into the mix. They don't do as well. These women lose to them. And so you're basically, reminding women that they aren't men, that they can be athletically inferior to men. I thought the whole purpose was letting women compete in their own circle, do their own thing, and giving them those opportunities. And so, I have, LGBTQAI plus members of the family. I have friends, many of them are not advocating for there to be, biological males in women's locker rooms and women's bathrooms and women, and honestly, you could very, very easily protect everybody's privacy by having single-use showers. You go in, you do your shower. Women don't like to shower in front of other women. Men don't like to shower in front of other men anyway. So, maybe it's about time we have single-use showers, single-use bathrooms, etc. And that's pro everybody. But, biological males are stronger. They have a different bone mass. They have different endurances. They have different builds. And when we also went from the topic of, look, be proud of who you are. Like Lady Gaga, you were born this way. Love who you are. Don't feel ashamed. If you're a part of the LGBTQAI plus community, be proud of who you are. You were born this way. We love you. And now all of a sudden, if somebody goes, but I don't want to be a girl, I don't want to be a boy, okay, you could change. We finally made progress stopping these parents or these clinics that were trying to convert a gay child. We finally made that progress saying, no, we're not going to tolerate that. You're not going to take a child and change if they're gay, and force them to go to these clinics to stop being. But then all of a sudden, we have a child going, I don't want to be a girl or boy. And now we put them through these painful processes. There's got to be a better way. But Charles Barkley speaking out might, help the conversation and bring more male action. 1-877 Doc Daliah. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hotshot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hotshot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
We're back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So Make America Healthy Again is going after a lot of the crap that's in our food, like food additives, and banning a lot of these dyes, these food dyes that have been linked to cancer, have been linked to mental health disorders, ADHD. It's about time. Well, some people are critical of that, right? Because they want their food to be neon green and fluorescent looking and super bright. And it's so the FDA has approved 3 natural color additives that could be used in foods. Right? I guess people are so afraid to be like Europe, where they, avoid, a lot of the, harmful substances in their food, so their food doesn't look as bright and vibrant. I don't need bright Skittles. I don't need that. I mean, I like M&Ms, but I'm just eating them while watching Netflix. I don't even look at what color of the M&Ms are. If they're chocolate, they're chocolate. I'm fine with that. So again, it's all the marketing, and I don't need our health to be sacrificed because a company wants to attract a child to grabbing the product off the shelf. So Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sent a press release. Today, we are taking a major step to make America healthy again. For too long, our food system has relied on synthetic, petroleum-based dyes that offer no nutritional value and pose unnecessary health risks. We're removing these dyes and approving safe, natural alternatives to protect families and support healthier choices. As you know, this is part of the Make America Healthy Again initiative, and he wants to eliminate synthetic dyes, replace them with natural alternatives. So these newly approved color additives include Daliah Extract Blue. It's derived from red algae and approved for a wide variety of beverages and dairy products. Butterfly pea flower extract. It produces shades of blue, purple, and green, and can now be used in cereals, chips, and snack mixes. Calcium phosphate, a white colorant, approved for items such as chicken products and sugar coatings. Now, I know some people are like, well, how do we know these don't have side effects? They could. They're natural. So at least that's a step in the right direction. But, we got so spoiled and so used to our foods looking a certain way that people are going to find food unappetizing if they don't look the same way. Now, personally, just go to the produce section and get some vegetables. Although some of them are a lot more vibrant looking. Do you notice that? Is that because of genetic manipulation? I got to tell you, some of these things glow from the outside. But in April, the FDA said they would replace 8 synthetic food dyes in the U.S. food supply by 2026. They have been found to have no nutritional value and are only added for aesthetic reasons. That's according to the Center for Science and the Public Interest. Several dyes have already been banned in California. They've been linked to hyperactivity, allergic reactions, and cancer risks in animal studies. FDA commissioner said in April that he believed U.S. children have been living in a growing toxic soup of synthetic chemicals. So California was already on top of this. They were they spearheaded this. Trailblazing. So the dyes being phased out include red 3, red 4, yellow 5, yellow 6, blue 1, blue 2, green 3, citrus red 2, and orange 8. These are often used in processed foods like cereal, candy, and desserts. Health advocacy groups have been asking about that for years. I don't know why the FDA has taken so long. Canada has moved forward. Europe, they've all moved forward with this. Why? Because big food, big tobacco, big pharma, these are people that lobby a lot. So the FDA currently permits 36 food color additives, including 8 synthetic dyes. In January, it moved to ban red 3, which we see in candy, cake, and medications, after studies linked it to cancer in laboratory animals. Now, the ban takes effect in 2027. I know some people say ban it now. The problem is to these companies have to get the new additive, learn how to use it, work it into their food and manufacturing, and then start producing. So I think 2027 allows enough room for that, but the FDA really wants 2026 to be the target. And, these companies, if they read the writing on the wall, should have already started working on that. Because California was already banning it. So if you're a food company, it's rare that you only serve to California, which means you've had plenty of notice that this is something that you're going to eventually have to do. So I don't think it's that big a stretch. I understand that people are going to say it is, and they're going to make it a big deal. And they're going to say, well, now our food is going to cost more. But we need our food to be healthy. That's what we need. And it's frustrating to me that it's taken this long. So the FDA has said it determined that these new dyes were safe for consumption following testing, and they could now be used by any manufacturer for their approved uses. Now, I'm sure there's going to be guidelines, because if people are like, well, we need to double and triple the concentration just to try to get the same color, I think what America has to do is be okay with look. It's not going to be as bright. Your Skittles are not going to be that bright. Are you okay with that? I'm okay with that. Pepperoni does not have to be that bright and deep a color. Guacamole, is guacamole. Use the natural avocado. But some people try to make it super, Kermit green. I don't know why they think humans fall for that. It's because we have fallen for it. So, yes, I think that does need to get done. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So some of you have written to me about the Pope. We have Pope Leo XIV, exciting that he's American, with the first American elected to be our Pope, comes from Chicago. But some of you have been concerned about his online comments against Trump and J.D. Vance as it pertains to immigration. And so here, I really like religion separate from politics, but many people are looking to see if the Pope is going to resemble some of the progressiveness of Pope Francis or be more traditional. And so interestingly, Forbes wrote about some of Pope Leo XIV, previous, his name is Robert Francis Prevost, but some of his previous voting behaviors. Now, apparently, he voted in the Republican Party's presidential primaries in 2012 and 2016. He also cast a ballot in the 2014 midterm GOP primaries. They said he voted for the Democratic presidential primary in 2008 and later in the party's 2010 midterm primaries. According to CBS News, the Pope voted in 2000, 2004, 8, 12, 24 general elections, but there is no record of him casting a ballot in 2016 or 2020. Yeah, not a lot of privacy with that. He is not registered as a Democrat or Republican, as most clergy do, but voters in that state are not required to register with any party. So I know some people say, well, yeah, he voted in the primary because he wanted to skew the, look, he's the Pope. I am not here to, criticize and see, but I know people are all concerned about everybody's political, like that's what characterizes them. And look, you could have some political leanings, but you are who you are. You could be a good person. You could be, the most amazing doctor, construction worker, plumber, Pope. Now, I really, wish we would stop, branding people based on their political leanings. But people are very, very concerned about, if the Pope is going to get political. Having had, most clergy don't do a lot online social media in terms of discussing, or, speaking out unless they really, really feel strongly about that. And so, he had criticized the Trump administration about the mass deportations. And, I haven't gone into all of that. I know he was concerned about Abrigo Garcia, and he criticized Trump's handling of that, even though we've gotten more and more information about him where he's been accused of domestic abuse and assault, trafficking, relationships to MS-13 and gangs. And so, I'm not too concerned. I am going to pray for the Pope like I pray for every Pope. And hopefully they won't get political and they'll be there for the Catholics and for the world as the spiritual entity that they are. But yeah, I do see what, some of you see, and, we'll see what happens. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
The Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So one thing I couldn't stand in places I worked was gossip. Gossip was probably one of the most toxic things, worse than cigarette smoke. I mean, I would be, waiting tables in the smoking section. They would alternate us. The tips were better when you worked in the smoking section. But nothing was more toxic beyond the tobacco than the gossip. And I think there was a study showing 58% of workplaces, admit to their employees gossiping or gossip is that rampant. I think it's even more than that. Well, you have some experts saying, actually, gossip is good for you. Gossip is healthy. Why? My guess is it probably has to do with the bonding. People will bond with others if they have something to say or give them. You could have a bully who is on you, and then you might have some scoop on something, and they want the scoop. Now, they'll still bully you later, but for some people, they use that as barter. And that barter can sometimes be an advantage, but is it really healthy? So Fox News is reporting how gossip, all right, according to some psychology experts, can benefit our mental health. According to Thea Gallagher, PsyD, Director of Wellness Programs at NYU Langone, says that the activity can make meaning of our world and situations. It can also help us be more informed about the intentions of others when we are sharing true information about what somebody did or didn't do. Okay, well, that's the key. Was it true? They say gossiping can be helpful in terms of exposing certain behaviors of others so that people can protect themselves. She's not wrong about that. Or if it's something that someone is struggling with, like an ill parent, it can actually give us more empathy so we can be more compassionate. They say gossip can help people process their feelings before reacting. They say if you're irritated at a friend and talk to another friend about it, you might actually be able to see the situation more clearly after you process it with someone. Okay, well, that's still different than gossiping. All right, talking to somebody and conveying your feelings and working through is very beneficial. I talked to you guys about having a bitch session or a bitch party where you just complain. You bitch and moan, and bitch and complain in this setting. And it's very therapeutic because, one, you get stuff off your chest. And two, you listen to other people and you go, oh, wow, they have it worse. When we were medical students, we had to go to an AA meeting. Not because we drank a lot, but because they wanted us to see what AA is like. I loved it. Because everybody was sharing and talking, and I love that kind of stuff. Throw me into group therapy anytime. I will talk about I just love to talk, and I love to share and make people feel better. But that's how AA became so successful, because you would go there thinking that you were, at your lowest of low, that you fell to the bottom of society because you drank and you were, and then you realize that there's other people struggling like you do, and that what you have is an illness. It doesn't reflect on how good you are or who you are, and you start to see what other people are dealing with. You start to feel a little bit better about your situation and give you hope. And so it was, and I recommend all medical students go to an AA meeting. I think it really teaches you and enlightens you a lot. My school was wonderful. I went to University of Nevada, Reno, fantastic school. So opening up, that's different than gossiping. Gossiping, to me, the definition is you are sharing something that's supposed to be private, that you heard and might not have necessarily witnessed or didn't get the whole story. And you are then spreading information that might be misinformation or might be harmful to somebody who should not be privy to it. That's why I don't think that that's a healthy thing to do. But if psychologists are saying, yeah, but you're talking to people and you're talking about how, your mom is, talking about how your mom or dad, a sick relative at home, that's not gossip. Gossip is, I think so-and-so is sleeping with so-and-so. I think this person is, and boy, was it obvious. I can't tell you places I worked at where who was sleeping with who and who was doing what. And it was, and then your perception of that person is like, well, because now your knowledge base starts to get you don't necessarily in the brain have a separate compartment for gossip. You now mix it all with your facts. So I'm running into this person going, well, apparently he slept with this person, this person, this person, this person, whether it was gossip or not. Now that's all mixed in to, what's in your mind. And then you get this picture of somebody that might not even be well deserved, or they did do all that. And now, so some people say, well, gossip can protect you. You get that a lot where, somebody they're single and they got all excited about somebody at work, and then you find out that person's a playa and they slept around with a lot of people. That sometimes it could help protect you. But see, gossip doesn't necessarily connote accurate information and doing research. All right. Gossip means somebody told you that in a very sneaky, covert way. So I'm not a fan, but they're saying there's a human connection through shared information. Communication is core to who we are and connects us to each other. See, I would rather connect somebody by showing them easier things to do with their job. When I learned that your iPhone charges faster on airplane mode, now everybody knows. But in the beginning, not a lot of people knew that. But somebody taught me. So then I'm like, by the way, I know you're charging your phone. If you put on airplane mode, it's going to charge faster. And I'm like, okay, good. See, I'd rather connect by teaching people something, and helping them. So the negative aspect, obviously, is what do you do? When somebody is gossiping around you, what do you do with that? Oftentimes, like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. But if you do that, then you're always isolated. And now you're the person at the office, or you're the person in the family that doesn't become privy to what's going on. I like getting the gossip. I like being informed, so then I know, because it's very easy to be isolated. I don't ask for gossip, but people like to tell me because they want to teach me. People love knowing something that I don't, and then they want to share it with me. Which is, by the way, if you're ever on a date or you're ever, wanting to improve a friendship with somebody, don't just say, oh, I know, I heard that, I know. If you don't know, tell them, I didn't know. Wow, you taught me something. Or I didn't know that, really? Gosh, that makes people feel so good. Don't lie if you did know. Like, I can't tell you how many people show me memes that I've seen a million times, but I'm not going to say I saw that already. I'm going to just laugh to make them feel better. But some people do the gossiping because they feel like they need, again, to have value. And giving you information that you don't have makes them feel valuable. Well, if you identify that in a person and you really don't want to be a part of the gossip culture, then make them feel valued in other ways. Other ways to do that. But, when I'm in my own world and I'm just, dealing with this, and then you find out, well, actually, this is what's been happening, or somebody did this, or somebody said this, or, and people saying stuff about me. I'm so used to people saying stuff about me. I don't even care about that anymore. But if somebody says, Daliah, you really need to even out the eyelashes when you do them, because one eye looks like they have let. I do kind of need to know about that. So one thing they say gossip does is it helps molds you. When you hear what other people are, oh my gosh, did you see what she wore? Did you see she keeps wearing yoga pants to work and you could see the cellulite through then you're like, oh gosh, I've worn stretchy pants. Maybe I better stop. So sometimes it does enlighten you to your surroundings. But I wouldn't say it's healthy. 1-877 Doc Daliah. Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms. Whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping, addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Doc Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. So I'm sure you've seen, these pictures, these of the protesters, and in Colombia, the library got taken over, and for those of you with kids in college, finals week is coming up. For some people, they finished, but for my kids, next week is finals week, which means this week is studying hard, although one of my sons is already out of school. And in Colombia, apparently the library was taken over by anti-Israel protesters. And one student alleged that he and his friends were shoved and elbowed in the ribs. They said it felt like a stampede. My friends and I were shoved. It wasn't clear if it was because we were Jewish or it was just a mob action. Later, he says, when I was in the lobby of the library, a supporter of the demonstrators walked past me and elbowed me in the ribs. It was surreal. Now, this is a PhD student in Colombia. Okay, nobody should be paying, what, $90,000 a year, however much it costs, 60, whatever, tens of thousands of dollars a year to be disrupted in their education, not to mention assaulted on campus. He said that the demonstration inside Columbia's Butler Library, in which hundreds of mass agitators swarmed the building, pushing public safety officers as they forced their way inside, kept him stranded inside for 3 hours in an extremely hostile environment. He was trying to do research and study. The PhD student said that public safety officers were able to put the room on lockdown after 10 to 15 minutes, but that swarms of demonstrators attempted to push their way past them from both directions. They said there's this mass rush of people swept in. They're all wearing masks. The keffiyehs came out. The masks came out. There was a lot of shoving. The mob inside was really like trying to ram through security. Public safety officials were able to escort him outside the main room of the library into the lobby. Now, the student was wearing a yarmulke or a kippah, which is what Jews will wear to cover their head. He claimed that a woman walked past him and there elbowed him in the ribs. So there was also anti-Semitic verbal abuse, and he was called a genocider. He was called a perpetual victim, and he said that was just yesterday. Now, Colombia acting president Claire Shipman has condemned the demonstration, called it utterly unacceptable. I don't know if they're going to do more to prevent them, but it seems like Colombia is starting to step up by getting police or getting more security. But, this is, I guess people were writing, long live the Intifada, Colombia will burn for the martyrs. I mean, this is not peaceful assembly guaranteed by our First Amendment. This is obstruction. This is destruction, vandalism, and assault. On a social media account, there was a demonstrator yelling, "Don't let this guy in. He's a blinking Zionist." And that was a Jewish student just trying to enter the library. Really? This was Columbia sophomore Josh Seagal had just left the library to get some coffee. Then this all started. He heard demonstrators preventing people from entering the library chanting for Hamas al-Qassam brigades. The al-Qassam brigades are the Hamas military groups who organized and did the October 7th attack, which killed 1,200 people, chopped off women's breasts, shot them while raping them, burning them alive, beheading babies. 250 hostages kidnapped, many of them tortured, raped, killed. And this is what, on a college campus, people are supporting Hamas. It's disgusting. Meanwhile, he says, look, it's finals. I'm already far behind. I couldn't do work the whole day because my stuff is stuck in the library. So what happened is the stuff was in the library. He ran to get coffee. And, of course, you want to save your seat. So you left your stuff. Who would have thought that you wouldn't be able to, these are things that we take for granted in America, where you could go to a library, you could study. It's peaceful and quiet because there's a librarian going shh all the time. You could get up and go pee, get up and he can't even grab his stuff. What if he left his phone, his keys? And he said they were chanting that the worst terrorists are American imperialists. And he thinks people from Hamas were actually there. So there were 80 arrests. Police sources told Fox News Digital that the president praised this as a step in the right direction for the university. But, this was a student. I'm sorry. But this shouldn't have even got that far. And look, I support peaceful assembly. If you want to do a demonstration, if you want to hold signs, if you want to march, those are things that America protects us with. But interfering with somebody else's rights, assaulting them, destroying a school, saying the school needs to burn. That's not peaceful assembly. That's not protected, and you will be arrested. And Border Czar Holman said you're going to be deported if you're on a student visa. As I've said, the colleges can very easily manage this there's an area where you could have the free speech, free assembly in an area of the school that does not interfere with people going in and out of the student union, in and out of classes, in and out of a bathroom. Most schools have an area. They could even corner off a parking lot, but that's not good enough. When people want to be heard and be agitators and coerce or scare people, they want to infiltrate. Well, a student's trying to go to class, and people are like, "Oh no, you can't. You can't deport somebody who is doing that." I go, if you are obstructing another American's free speech and rights, then you don't deserve to be an American. When my father and his family were finally granted an opportunity to come to America, because they had to escape the Holocaust and thank God they found a place in Israel where they could be safe. 20 years later, they were offered a visa to come to America. They had to learn the language. They had to take citizenship courses, take classes to become citizens. Why do we do that in America? Because we need anybody who's going to become American to understand the rights of your fellow, citizens. So if you're going to be coming to America and you want to be here, you have to understand the rights and the laws. You know how these other countries are warning us, saying, don't bring your marijuana here. It's illegal here. Don't bring your case shells. We do things different. And so the State Department urges people to educate themselves on the country they're going so they don't break the laws. So anybody coming to America or wanting to learn here or enjoy our beautiful parks, beautiful land, beautiful public safety, you got to understand the laws. And the laws mean Americans have a right to go to class. They have a right to go to the bathroom. They have a right to learn in peace. And if you're going to obstruct that, you leave. You didn't follow the rules. If I did that, can you imagine me going to another country disrupting campus? They would kick my ass out of that country faster than I could even say it. But in America, no. That was free speech. Listen, all campuses can have an area that students can see, but that does not interfere with classes, student unions, or bathrooms, or libraries, where there could be the demonstration. There could be this place away from, where people will be obstructed or assaulted. But that's not where the protesters want to be. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.